Well, today we're going to hear a story of uncommon friendship and sacrificial love. Our very special guest was born with spinal muscular atrophy, and he spent the entirety of his life overcoming extraordinary challenges. And what is amazing about Kevan Chandler is his community of friends and how they help him see possibilities and not limitations. So when Kevan had a dream to climb mountains and see Europe, his friends just said yes, and they helped him fulfill this dream. They ditched the wheelchair and carried him across Europe in a specially designed backpack. Perhaps it helps us understand true Christian community. So it's an absolute pleasure to explore this amazing friendship and the story of Kevan Chandler. Kevan, welcome to 2020 and welcome to our Australian audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Now, Kevan, as well as being carried all around the world by your friends and achieving many of your dreams, you've also written a book. Have you written just one book or a couple of books?
I've written a few, and the two main ones. I wrote a book about our adventures in Europe called We Carry Kevan, and then I also, this past year, we released a children's picture book version of that same story.
I love it. I love it. And how did you find writing a book? Did you enjoy it, or do you think I'll never do that again? Like, what's your thoughts on writing books?
Oh, it is my great passion in life. If I could be doing that 24/7, well, besides sleeping and eating, that's what I would do. I love every second of it.
Awesome. Who are your favorite authors? Have you got some authors that have inspired you over the years?
Yeah, actually, when we went to Europe, one of the places that we went to was England, and a big reason for being there was that a lot of my favorite authors are from England. From over the years, most of them have been long since passed away, but some of my favorites would be J.M. Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan. He's probably my favorite of all time. Wrote several really amazing novels, and another favorite would be G.K. Chesterton. And ironically, they were friends, so that works out nicely. But yeah, big fans of both of them, as well as many, many others.
Yeah. It's funny how friends can both be so successful at something, isn't it? And I think, was it C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were also friends?
Yeah.
And they sat around in a coffee shop in the days before cappuccinos and flat whites and lattes that we love so much today. But they used to talk about their books and really spur each other on. And that's really your story too, isn't it, Kevan? That you and your friends, or your friends, really made your dream become a possibility to see Europe.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, we met after college and had gotten to know each other through music and church, and a weekly potluck several of them were part of just starving musicians that wanted to have a good meal once a week, and that led to asking this question of, if we left my wheelchair behind, what would that look like, and what could we do that we normally wouldn't be able to?
Amazing.
So we just went from there.
Yeah, well, let's go back to your childhood. So you grew up in the state of North Carolina, and you were diagnosed with a very rare neuromuscular disease called spinal muscular atrophy. So tell us what everyday life looks like for you with that disease.
Yeah, so as a side note, when I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, or we can just call it SMA, that might be easier, but my sister had already been diagnosed with the same thing a couple of years earlier, before I was even born and on this earth. And so when I came along, I kind of showed the same symptoms and was diagnosed much more easily than she was. But we grew up in a home that was full of creativity and not letting our limitations slow us down. And what the world would say we can and can't do was very different from what we actually could do. And in my parents were a huge part of that. My brother as well. We have an older brother who is not disabled and is a very creative person as well. And so, yeah, I like to say that we got up every day and said, well, what do we want to do and what are we able to do? And let's kind of push the envelope on the ladder to make our dreams come true. So that's the house that I grew up in, the family I grew up in, and a part of that also was that my parents really opened the doors to our home for the world to come in and be a part of our lives and see how we did things a little differently. But they also took us out into the world. So I was part of a normal public school, part of a church and a youth group when I got older, and went to summer camp just like all the other kids. The only difference was my dad was there to help me with the restroom and get me ready for bed, and my mom took me to punk rock concerts when I was in high school and see bands like DC Talk and Five Iron Frenzy and Audio Adrenaline and all those guys. And so yeah, really grew up pretty adventurous with my family. And so what that looks like now as an adult is having an open door policy in my own house and inviting people in to be part of my life and part of my needs. And maybe one of the biggest examples of that, besides being carried around Europe on my friends' backs, is that I can't really take care of myself physically. I can't use the restroom or get a shower or get dressed or anything on my own. And so the guys that help me with that are all just volunteer. They're all just friends, no hired caregivers or professional nurses. It's just friends helping friends because of the love that we have for one another that is born out of our relationship with Jesus. And so it's a pretty awesome testimony. Every time I've moved or had new neighbors, I've had to go over and have the conversation of, hey, if you see a new car every day in my driveway, this is why. But so they don't get suspicious. But,
I'm not dealing drugs. Yeah, I'm
right.
I'm preaching Jesus.
Yeah, just trying to live it, man. So yeah, it's been an awesome testimony to the world around us, but it's also been just great for myself as well as these guys to grow closer to the Lord by growing closer in our own relationships. And I like to think of it as I start my day every day with Jesus, because these guys are showing me the love of Jesus through their actions, and it's pretty phenomenal for me and my heart and what it does for me.